Good morning, everyone. I hope I hope that you can hear me. Thank you for joining this Business Wales and Swansea City starting business planning session. It is okay. So I'll run you through the information that you'd expect to see in a business plan for the next 20 minutes or so, and then Shahid will follow on then and talk a bit about the cash flow forecast and the information we'd expect to see in a typical cash flow forecast, and he'll also show you what information that you would include in the cash flow forecast. Now, would you like to say hello, Shahid? I don't know if you're listening in the background at the moment, just to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Shahid. I'm one of Howard's colleague, business advisor working for Business Wales, covering Swansea, Neath and Port Talbot area. As Howard said, I will make a presentation on how to prepare a cash flow forecast later on, after Howard finished his presentation on business plan. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Shahid. As Shahid alluded there, right? Shahid and myself are both business advisors. We work for Business Wales, which is a Welsh Government support service. We help and support both pre-start and established businesses, and all the support that you get from Business Wales is free at the point of contact, right? And I recommend that if you're either thinking of starting or perhaps growing your business, that you have a look at the Business Wales website and register for some free help and support. Now, so the session this morning is going to talk about business planning. And when you're talking about the business plan, I'm sure Shahid would back me up and say, keep it as simple, keep all the information as simple as possible, right? That's the best tip that we can give you, right? And be clear in what you put down in the business plan. So this particular business plan here, there's lots of different types of business plan templates that you can have. You can download a business plan template from the Business Wales website if you want to, right? Or you can use perhaps a business plan template that you picked up from elsewhere. But make sure that the information in the business plan is as thorough as possible. That's the front cover of the business plan, where we ask for your name, age, address, postcode. The address could be where your business unit is, or perhaps your shop or whatever, or where you're trading from, right? Put your telephone number in there, and the date, right? And what you're going to call the business, proposed business name. Okay, so that's the front page, and the plan is compiled by yourselves normally if it's your business plan, right? And then also, right, if you know, you might be getting help and support from a Business Wales advisor, you can put the name of the advisor in that section there as well. So that's the cover section, okay? Now, if we look at the narrative section, if you scroll up to the start here, so look, right, there we are, this is the start, okay? So this is the first section of the business plan, right? The narrative or the story part of the plan, right? There's lots of different templates that you can use, right? And there is a business plan template that you can download from the Business Wales website, okay? This particular version is an Excel version. It's got everything on one document. We've got the cash flow forecast on it as well, right? And the story of your business plan itself, okay? So the first question on this business plan is, what type of business will you be operating? So you need to tell the reader, right, what type of business you'll be operating. We're asking you in this box to describe your business or your product or your service that you're going to offer your clients, right? And the next question is, when do you hope to start the business? Are you going to be starting in a month or 2 or 3 months, or was it next year and you're still at the planning stage at this stage? So when do you expect to start your business? The next question on this particular business plan is, tell us who will be involved in the business, right? Are you going to be a sole trader, perhaps just trading as the business name yourself, right? Or are you thinking of forming a partnership with someone else, perhaps, and going into a partnership situation? Or are you going to be thinking of setting up a limited company? Of course, your legal status or your legal entity as a business is an important consideration, of course, right? Business Wales, in fact, run an excellent webinar called Starting and Running Your Business, right? Where we cover the main points that you need to consider when starting and developing your business. And there's also a section on that particular webinar where we go through the different legal status of types of businesses that you could operate, okay? And we discuss legal entities so to help you to choose which legal status is right for you. Are you going to be a sole trader? Are you thinking of forming a partnership or perhaps a limited company? Now, the next question 4 on this particular plan, right? We asked you to just, what are your short-term aims for the business? And by short-term, what do you hope to achieve in the first 12 months? And then what are your longer-term aims for the business, right? Up to 5 years, say, are you thinking perhaps of expanding the business as the business grows, or taking perhaps an employee or an apprentice or a trainee perhaps to help you and support you and help you to grow the business as it develops? Now, the next section on this particular business plan here is personal background. Now, I think it's always a good idea to put perhaps a personal CV in, right? If you can attach a CV, right, to highlight your perhaps work experience, your qualifications, right, or any training qualifications that you may have. That helps the reader then to understand about you as an individual. And if there is someone else involved in the business as well, perhaps you can add the CV of all the individuals that are involved with the business then in that section 5 there. So section 6 then, we ask you to describe in this particular business plans, right, your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities and threats, right? So when you think about strengths, right, what strengths do you have as an individual to bring to the business? Weaknesses, what weaknesses you have? You may have not run a business before, right? So that could be a weakness, right? Or you might be getting support from your family or friends or from external organizations like Business Wales, perhaps, right? To help you develop some of those skills that you need to run the business. The next section then, section 8, right? What opportunities will a business give you? Is there an increasing demand for your products and services, perhaps, isn't it really? And then what threats will your business present, right? Or what threats will you have to consider as a business owner, right? Are there competitors, perhaps, or other people doing something similar to what you are going to be doing, right? And you'll have to think about how you're going to counter that threat, right? Who else have you researched your market, and who is doing what you hope to do within that business? So that's the SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Most business plans would include what we call a SWOT analysis, right? So that's quite simply that section there. Now, the next section is quite an important section. This is the market research section, right? Now, if you haven't got any customers, obviously, you haven't got much of a business. So that's why your own market research, right, is very important, right, to make sure that there will be a demand for your products and services. So in section 10 there, we're asking you, right, who are your potential customers? Who is going to buy your products or services? And then in section 11, right, how many potential customers are there? What area are you going to be covering, right? What's the population, age, demographic, right, of the area that your business will cover? So section 12 then, right? How will you deliver your products and services to the customer? Have you researched your market, right? There's lots of ways that you can undertake market research, right? You can do desk research, you can do online surveys, perhaps to ask people what they think of your products and services, right? You can look at various statistics of similar type businesses, right, and how they are developing, right? And also you can observe competitor activity to see just how well or how badly your competitors are doing. So section 10, 11 and 12, right? It's quite an important section on market research. It's important to research your market to make sure that there's going to be a demand for your products and services. So if we then look at question 13 on this particular business plan, why will your customers want to buy from you perhaps rather than one of your competitors? What is your unique selling point as a customer, as a business? What is your unique selling point as a business? Are there any special features or to your particular products or service? And question 14 then asks, who are your competitors? Can you and what is the size of the market? Can you name some local competitors that you know that you will be competing with, and how are you going to compete or better the service that's perhaps offered by some of your competitors? Or are you going to be doing something different perhaps, right, to better the service that your competitors already offer? And I think question 15 there then asks you, okay, if you set up your business and you're trading successfully, how do you think your competitors are going to react to your business coming new into the market? Is it going to affect them, right? Is it going to affect you? So you've got to think about how your competitors are likely to react to you coming into their market, perhaps. Okay. Now, with this section here, we're talking about advertising and promotion, which is number 16. So with number 16 here, what we're asking, right, question 16, you can describe here exactly what product or service you're going to provide to your clients, right? And list the main products or services that you'll be going to offer your clients, that you're going to be offering your clients, right? So that's what the information they'd expect there, product or service A. And then product B, are there any further products that you can possibly bring in further down the line, right, to generate more profit for the business, right? You might want to start in a small way and only offer a small a limited number of products and services, but as your business expands, you might want to extend the range then and offer further products and services so that your business has the opportunity to make more profit. So section 18 then, how and where will you advertise your business, right? Obviously, it's important that you advertise and think about advertising and promoting your business, right? So where will you advertise your business, right? Perhaps you'll be operating the business from a shop, right? Or it could be an online selling business, right? You could be cold calling. You could think about posters, leaflets, flyers, car magnets, perhaps, to help you advertise and promote your products and your services. You might want to develop a website for the business and have a landing page, right? And linking that website to social media channels to advertise and promote the business again, right? You might not need to advertise the business, right? If you've got already built up a good reputation, right? You could use word of mouth, right? You can You can use local advertising in newspapers, free ads, and perhaps, you know, when you're doing a job somewhere, you can put an A board out or have your signage on your van, perhaps, to say, yeah, I'm here, this is my contact details, right, on the van or on an A board. I'm here operating at the moment, doing a job, isn't it, really? So there's lots of different ways that you can advertise and promote your business, right? What I would do there, right, is have a think about what advertising and promotional methods you're going to use for your business, right? Doesn't matter what type of business that you're going to operate, you're still going to need to advertise and promote yourself as a business, isn't it, really? Now, Business Wales, perhaps I should mention here, right? We have a good little webinar called Research and Planning Your Marketing Activity. Again, that webinar is free for you to attend, right? Where we talk on that webinar about developing a marketing plan for your business. So you might want to attend the Business Wales Research and Planning Your Marketing Activity webinar, which is a good little webinar to help you to develop a marketing plan. So we're moving now towards the last few questions on the business plan. So what we're asking you here is, have you already got potential customers that you could be selling your products or services to, or perhaps doing jobs for, isn't it, really? So we're asking you to perhaps name some of those questions, some of those jobs that you've got already lined up there, right? Because that'll give the reader of the business plan some confidence. Well, at least, you know, this individual has already got some work lined up, isn't it, really? Which is always a good factor, and gives the reader of the business plans confidence then in what you're going to be doing, isn't it, really? So that's section 19 to 23. Do you have any potential customers? If so, you could list them there, okay? And perhaps the value of the products or services that you're going to be providing, isn't it, really? So when I look at the sort of final part of this plan, right, it talks about pricing, okay? So what we're asking you here in this particular section is, how much does it cost to make your products or services? But whatever price you charge for your products or services, you've got to make sure, right, that there's a profit in it for you. So whatever price you charge, make sure there is a profit in it, whether you're charging for a job or whatever, or selling a product, right? Make sure that you sell the product at a service, isn't it? Sell the product at a profit, really, right? What profit is in it for you? And also, right, when you're talking about profit, you've got to take into consideration some of your operating costs, perhaps such as heating, lighting, rent and admin costs, right? And Shahid will be going through some of the costings when he talks about the costings in the business plan, okay, in the cash flow focus, right? So question 25 here, there's only 2 more questions to go on this particular business plan. What will the market stand, right? What your competitors charge, right? Where are you going to pitch your price, right? But one tip we can give you here is never be too cheap, right? Because people sometimes associate cheap with not being good. So it's important you charge a fair price, of course, for your products and services, and make sure that there's a profit in it for you. But it's the profit that the business makes will obviously pay your wages. And the last question on this particular business plan, right, is judge the value for money or product or service in relation to competitors. So consider the value for money of your product or service in relation to what your competitors offer, right? And remember, right, that your best customer is one that has used your products or services or bought your products and services, right? And who can recommend you as a business owner for you to undertake other jobs or sell products to individuals, isn't it, really? So your best customer is always one that can recommend you, right? And hopefully give you more business. So that is a very simple business plan template there. So that is the type of information that we would expect to see in the business plan. And as I said at the start, right, remember to keep the information as simple as possible, right? Perhaps I should mention AI here, artificial intelligence here, right? We often see business plans, right, that have been written by AI rather than the individual, right? By all means, use AI to your advantage to assist you to gather information, right? But make sure that the plan is personal to your business, right? And the information perhaps you gather from AI is relevant to your particular business, right? So that's it in a nutshell as far as the information is concerned about business planning, right? I'll hand you over now to Shahid, right, who'll talk you through the next section, which is the cash flow forecast section of this webinar.
Our purpose for today is to show you how to prepare your cash flow forecast. Hopefully, at the end of the day today, you will have a good understanding of what cash flow forecast is. You will identify cash coming into the business and going out of the business, because when you run a business, you will have cash coming into the business and often it's going out of the business when you're purchasing stuff, paying your suppliers, etc. You will also have a clear understanding of how to build a simple cash flow. When you prepare a cash flow forecast, basically spot potential cash shortage in advance. When you run a business, there will be seasonal variation. Business will go up and down. So when you prepare the cash flow forecast, you will know it in advance when there is going to be a shortage of cash in the business. Also, you'll be able to use the forecast to make a better and informed decision for your business. So what is a cash flow forecast? Cash flow forecast is basically the money coming into your business and going out of your business. Cash flow forecast is your expected cash balance over time. A cash flow forecast helps you understand whether you will have enough cash to meet your commitments. Sorry. Right. So this is a cash flow forecast. Basically, I have prepared in advance for you to see it as not a real cash flow forecast. So how to prepare a cash flow forecast? Say Howell Bassett is starting a business as a plumber. So we just put it here. So Howell is starting a business as a plumber. So Howell Bassett trading as HB Plumbing and Heating. The month he is going to start the business. Say we are in July, say August. So if you say you're starting the business in August, so from August 2026 to July 2027, that would be the first year of trading for Howell. So income, because it is a new business, is only going to be prediction. Because nobody knows how much Howell is going to earn exactly in the first month. So it would be the best estimation or best assumption based on his market research and his personal experience of the business. As Howell said to you about market research. So market research is very important. It makes you understand how many customers you're likely to see in the first week or first month of trading. Because it's a new business, Howell is going to work 6 days in the business. So if you earn, say, as an example, as a plumber, say £30 an hour. So Howell works 8 hours a day. That gives him £240 a day times 6 days a week. For 240, £1,440 in a week, times 4, and that will give him the monthly figure. So if I give him times 4, 5,760. That should be his monthly income. Because it's a new business, it's going to be very unrealistic for Howell to think, yes, I'm going to be busy 8 hours a day, every day, 6 days a week. So we'll half that. If we say Howell earns realistically £2,000 in the first month based on working 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. So there will be days that he's not going to work 6 days. There will be days probably he will work only 4 hours a day. So £2,000. Now month 2, we expect a little increase because Howell has already been trading for a month. So we say we increase it by 2,200. Month 3, Howell has done his advertising. He developed his contact within other trade people. So his potential to earn, as I said, like working 8 hours a day at £30 an hour, he can earn easily £240 a day. If he works 6 days a week, he is going to earn 5,760. So we're still not going to go into full potential. So month 3, Howard is earning 2,500. November and December, the seasonal variation, because winter months, their plumbers are quite busy in the winter months. So Howell earns £3,000 in November. December, before Christmas, a lot of people want to upgrade things. So we'll set 3,400 in December. January is generally a quieter month for every businesses. So we will bring it down to say 2,800 in January. February, we'll give it a little increase. We go to 3,000. Then March, probably the business will be over 6 months old. Howell has built a reputation in the marketplace. So we'll increase it to 3,400. Then April will increase by 3,800. May, say 4,000. Probably Howell need to think about additional help now. Being a single person working full-time in the business, is it doable for Howell to earn £4,000 on his own, or does he need an apprentice or a helper? So Howell probably at this point will be thinking of an additional pair of hands to give him hand, because his turnover is increasing and he needs additional help. So 4,800. So at the end of first year, Howell earned 4,800 the last month of the year, still less than what he predicted to earn by working 8 hours a day. And that is a realistic assumption. So when you make your assumption, make sure it's not you're too optimistic or too pessimistic. Just try to be realistic. Now, other income, Howell doesn't have any other income. His business is full. So there is no other income for Howell. Okay, say Howell runs the business as a sole trader. So as a sole trader, there will be no director. So Howell introduced own fund. Howell introduced 1,500 from his own resources, from savings. He invested in the business. And he's going to apply for Swansea Council grant because Howell needs to buy a lot of plumbing equipment and probably needs some help with marketing and advertising, web development. So Howell decided to apply for £5,000 loan. It's a CCS, City and County of Swansea grant. So Howell applies for £5,000 grant. So that's his total income. Any money you put into the business or any grants or loan comes into the business before you start, it's always see as your income. So that is Howell's income for the first year or first month as input. And of course, in order to earn £2,000, does Howell need to buy anything? So if we say these figures are based on labor only, he doesn't buy any material. He asks his clients to pay for the material or buy the material. So based on labor only cost. So Howell doesn't buy any materials, but still he needs to buy some gloves, PPE product, or maybe for health and safety reason, he wants to buy goggles for welding and other things. So say Howell spend £50 a month on PPE, health and safety product. So £600 a month. Okay. There's no directors in the business. There's no subcontractor in the business. So directors in the business, Howell is a sole trader, so he will be taking his wages as growing. So we'll come to that. I'll explain what salary and what is drawings. So employers NI, there's no employee at this stage. Okay, so in January, December 3,400. Howell wants to bring a part-timer, and Howell decided to pay a part-timer, say £200 a month. Only in the weekend he calls the part-timer. So he employs some employees. Okay, so Howell pays him £200, then £250, and pays him £350. Because Howell is paying part-time at £200 to £250 a month, there will be no tax and NI in that amount. So tax and NI would be zero. Okay, rent. Say Howell hires a small unit where he stores his equipment. So Howell pays £150 a month. There will be no business rate to take. So water rates, there will be no water or electricity because he delivers a job at client's place, so use their electricity and water. Telephone, yeah, it's very important that you consider the cost of your mobile phone or land phone you use for the business. If you have a landline or mobile phone, say Howell pays £40 for his mobile phone per month, and he put it to the business as business expense. Maintenance, say Howell keeps away £50 per month, just in case if there is a breakdown of equipment, you can fix it. And if he doesn't need to spend that money, it's all savings for him. Advertising and promotion. Howell mainly advertised his job through Facebook and his personal contact within the trade industry. However, he set aside £50 for his internet bill and advertisement every month. So if I say £50 a month, that's £600 in a year. Printing and stationery. In the first month of trading, Howell decided to print some business cards, some leaflets, and maybe sign writing on the van. So sign writing on his van cost him £250. Business cards and leaflet cost him another £100, so £350 in the first month. Probably he will put it in his grant application. And then he set aside he charges £20 a month to top up when he runs out of his business cards and leaflets. Waste. Howell is not accounted here for waste collection. Probably he will ask wherever he delivers the job, the house owners and business owners to pay for their waste collection. He's just there to deliver the job. So waste collection would be nil for Howell here. Travel expense. Say Howell spend % of his income on travel expense. So if you ask £2,000, so £200 will be his travel expense. So £200, £200, £240, 300, 10%, yeah. So 300. So we'll live 300 for the rest of the year. So traveling expense is a big part of his expenses. Insurance, Howell pays £600 a year for his van, public liability, employer's liability, and all other necessary insurances. Leasing payment, there is nothing on leasing about. There is no loan to repay. And Howell has negotiated with the business banker that there will be no interest charged in the first year for his business account. So professional fees, say Howell decide £41 a month for his accountant. Probably accountant will charge him £500 for the year. So that's 480. If I said 60 here, that'll be £500 for the year. Right, training costs. Say Howell wants to go for training course in month 3, and that costs him £200. So nothing in first month, nothing in second month. Third month, he needs to spend £200 on training. Capital expenditure. Howard has applied for grant with City and County of Swansea for £5,000. And that is how much he needs to buy his equipment. So it is coming up as a grant, and Howard is spending that on equipment. Any equipment you buy for the business, that's your capital expenditure. So £5,000. Cleaning of his van. Say he cleans his van twice a month, so it's £20 per month. £240 for the year. Drawings. because Howell is depending on his business, therefore he had to take a wage out from the business for himself. And Howell worked out he needs about £1,200 per month to survive. So he takes £1,200 per month from the business. And Howell pays £3.45 a week as a sole trader, is a national insurance contribution. As a sole trader, you only pay £3.45 a week. So say £14 a month. 168 pounds. So this is all Howell's costs. So we will now see. So Howell's income for the first month, including the loan, including his own investment and grant, 8,500, and his expenses for the first month, if we just sum it up, is 7,214. 7,214. So Howell has an income of 8,500, and he spent 7,214. So his net outflow would be income minus expenses. So equals sum. Well, thus Howell's income be 8. 8 minus B30. So that's 1,286. That's Howell's net flow in the first month. Because it's a new business, his opening balance was 0. So if we say opening balance 0, so now you got closing balance. Closing balance means your net cash flow plus opening balance. That's your closing balance. If we use the formula, equal so A40. It's B40. So that's his closing balance. So opening balance plus net cash flow gives Howell the closing balance. So closing balance is very important. So at the end of the first months of trading, Howell will have 1,286 in his account. Of course, second month of trading is going to be slightly different because in the first month, Howell didn't have any opening balance. So in the second month, the closing balance from the first month become the opening balance for second month. So 1, 2, 86. That would be his opening balance for month 2. So if we just so in the second month now, this is Howell's net cash flow. So sorry, it should have been here. 1,800 and 1,884. So 124. 180. 2, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. Eight, 4, 2, 4, 0, 4. Okay. So Howell's net flow in the second month should be. So Howell's income for the second month, as you can see, was £2,000. His expenses were 1,884. So he got a net cash flow of £116 plus his closing balance become the opening balance from month 1. So at the end of first month, Howell got net outflow plus opening balance, if are the same as that. Then, 678, 190. So as you can see, Howell took £14,400 as his wages from the business, which is drawings, plus he still got about £13,052 left in his account. So it means the business is viable and profitable. So this is the template I would want you to use, and I will send you the template to Lee so that anybody wants it. You can ask Lee to email it to you, and it will work out everything for yourself. I'll modify the template for you before I send it to Lee. So do you have any questions on the cash flow forecast? If you could put it in your chat box, it'd be great. Before I stop sharing that now.
I think it's an opportunity to open it up for anyone who has any questions about the business plan or the cash flow. If you let us know in the chat, then Howell and Shahid can answer.
Okay, that's good. So basically, the cash flow is so important for you. As I said before, many businesses fail due to lack of cash in the business, because you need to, as you can see on the cash flow forecast while we're preparing it, you need to pay wage to employees, you got to pay your suppliers, you have to pay rent and utility bills, buy your stock and equipment. So it's very important that you consider everything. Sometimes, like if you're offering credit facilities, you might make a sale. Say you sold something for £2,000, but you may not get the money for another 30 to 60 days. So there will be a cash flow difficulties. So what do? You negotiate with your bank. You look for alternative source of funding to make sure that the business doesn't get run out of cash. So cash, as I said, cash is the blood of your business. So make sure cash is always flowing. There are reasons why you prepare cash flow forecast. First and foremost, it will be for your own purposes. You need the cash flow forecast to monitor the progress of your business on a regular basis. And when you actually start running business, update your cash flow with actual figures so that you know where you stand. So it will help you to identify any cash flow difficulties in the business.
So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Please make sure that there will be seasonal variation. Like if you are thinking of starting your business as a gardener, of course, in the summer months you'll be very busy. But then you build your cash. Say you switch money from your business account to your saving account. You save it for the rainy day. When there will be quite a month, you still have to take a drawing for yourself, take a wages for yourself. You still have to pay bills. So most businesses will have seasonal variation, like clothing. They'll be very busy during festive season, flower shop, then cake businesses, food businesses. But there will be quite spells in January and other months. But whatever industry you are in, make sure you take seasonal variation into consideration. While you apply for funding, the funders always need to see those things, those variation in the cash flow forecast. If you put £2,000 throughout the year, they will think, well, they didn't think it through properly. There will be always fluctuations. So when you prepare your cash flow forecast, please bear those in mind. I think Ali's okay. We can run a training session on a cash flow forecast if you are interested, and I would advise you to attend Business Wales and manage your finance and tax, so you will get to learn more about tax and bookkeeping.
I think there's one or two being typed, but I will just use the opportunity to mention, obviously, that Howell and Shahid both work with Business Wales. They are separate to ourselves in Swansea Council. We can provide some support on the grants that we offer, but if you need support on business planning, cash flow forecasts, marketing, everything else, Business Wales are the people that you need to speak to. Would they need to come through to yourselves, or would it be through the main switchboard?
I think if they come, sorry, Shah. I think if they come in through the main switchboard, right? We run separate webinars, short webinars on various topics as well, right? Like cash flow forecasting is one of the topics that you can engage on this webinar free of charge. There is a separate webinar on the business. So if you contact Business Wales, right, through the Business Wales website, if you can, right, you can book or have, you know, if you attend one of our starting your business webinars, they'll explain on that webinar exactly what other help and support that is available from Business Wales. Then.
Yeah, in addition to what Howard has already said, I would say not to worry, you know, if you haven't prepared your cash flow forecast and you need help and assistance with the preparation of your cash flow forecast, please register with Business Wales, and one of our advisor will help you on a one-to-one basis. So that if you have any questions related to your cash flow forecast or the business plan or any other part of the business, most of our advisors have the experience of running their businesses, and they can share their skills and experience with you, and they can help you prepare your business plan and cash flow forecast. Remember, at the end of the day, it is your business. So you have to make the input. We can help you, we can guide you, we can advise you, but you need to know the contents of the business plan and the cash flow forecast. At the end of the day, you need to make sure the business is going to be successful. The business is going to be viable, and it will give you the income that you need to live on. So it's very important. I would advise you, as Howard said, register with Business Wales, take advantage of all our webinars, and you will have the opportunity to sit with an advisor, and they will prepare with business plan and help you to prepare business plan and cash flow forecast. So one thing before I finish, I would say one common mistake, like most people do, they overestimate their sales, then forgetting VAT liabilities. If you become VAT registered, then remember you have to pay VAT, so you put money aside to pay your VAT. Then ignoring seasonal fluctuations, as I said before, underestimating expenses, and not updating forecasts regularly. Also, confusing profit and with cash. So profit and cash is not same. You may make a lot of profit, but cash may not come to your account on time. As I said, like if you're a cleaner doing contract cleaning, you may deliver the job, and you still have to pay your employees, the cleaners, but you don't get the payment for another 30 days or 60 days. So how do you survive? How do you manage all your costs? Employee salaries, buying cleaning materials, paying your insurance, paying your marketing costs. You have to have reserve fund. So I would say always, you know, when you are very busy, like you are adding more than what you expected, always put it in reserve fund, because that will help you to continue delivering your service, even though if you're receiving late payment from your suppliers or customers. So it is very important that you do that.
Thank you. One last question from Gaynor. In the section of income, she's doing physical workshops, but also selling products and online income. Would she then put them all into one income, or would they be in other income?
Sorry, what's the question? Is it on the chat box?
Yes.
From Gaynor.
Essentially,
I'm also selling products. Well, I suppose, right, as far as your income and expenditure is concerned, right, you've got to, when you're talking about the cash flow, you've got to add all your income, whether it's income from the workshops that you undertake or income from products that you sell, right? But you know, there'll be costs for running the workshops, and there'll be purchases for the products that you sell, isn't it, really? So it's a bit. Possibly you could make two separate cash flows if you wanted, if there's two sections of the business, right? But I would merge them all into one cash flow at the end of the day, because it's one business. But mind you, as a sole trader, you could have separate sections. You could trade a few different types of businesses. So you could do a cash flow for each one of them, which will show you how much money you've got left in the bank then, I suppose, for each of those particular products, isn't it, really? But you know, if it's one business, I would merge them all and put them all into one cash flow if you can, to keep it simple, isn't it, really?
That's
I hope
right,
I hope that answers your question, Gaynor.
And also, you only need to do one self-assessment at the end of the year. See, you might have different part of the income, but as a sole trader, all your income. So you might put them all together and do one self-assessment rather than having two different self-assessment.
Okay.
Any further questions? Yeah.
I think we've covered everything over business planning and cash flow forecasting in the time that we've had. We've gone a little bit over, but thank you everyone for sticking with us. And thank you to Howell and to Shahid for the presentation. It's been very useful and very informative. Okay, so thank you everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you again.
Bye all then. Bye.